ts, then link to HTML page. So to home.html, HTML. So we are linking that in the head section. Script source is equal to variable.js. Okay, that's how we can configure and test it. Now you can run your HTML and see. This is mostly required, and we need to know about these points. Okay. So while declaring variables, one more important point, the global scope for variables, configuring the global scope for variables. And for that, we need to know about all these options. This is global scope for variables. How do we define global scope for variables? So these are the examples for testing the global scope for variables. Another important point is you need to know about variable naming conventions. Variable naming conventions. While naming a variable, some basic rules you need to know. What are the basic rules while naming a variable? Always. So variable name must start with an alphabet or an underscore. So this is underscore, alphabet or an underscore. So that means it can be alphanumeric. It can be alphanumeric, but cannot start with the number or other special characters. Other special characters. These are the basic rules. That means if I say LET and if I say some sales is equal to, or say some price is equal to, and this is valid. So like this is valid, no problem. Suppose I said LET, so price 2 is equal to, so some like this, and this is also valid, no problem. LET, say price underscore 2 is equal to some value, and this is also valid, no problem. And LET some 2 price is equal to some value, so this is not valid, this is invalid, because you cannot start with a number. And LET, suppose underscore price is equal to some value, so, and this is valid. It can be alphanumeric, but it cannot start with a number or any another special character. It can start with underscore. It can contain underscore. Variable name can start with underscore. You can configure with underscore. So while naming the variables, you have to follow these rules. Another important point is, so a variable must speak what it is. A variable must speak what it is. That means while giving the names for the variables, a variable must speak for what purpose it is being used. That means don't use any shortcut names. Always use reasonable names for variables. That is the basic tradition in programming. That means LET x equal to 10. I don't know for what purpose you are going to use x and what is this 10 value is for. This is wrong, right? While developing applications, you have to make sure that your variable speaks what it is. That means suppose it is ID is equal to 10. Okay, now it is good that, okay, you are storing value 10 for an ID, right? So it should have a proper reference name. You should not use simply like X, X1, X2, X3, YZ, ABC, because it doesn't speak what purpose you are using for. Another important is So variable names must be defined in camel case. As per the standards, variable names must be defined in camel case. See, currently you can declare in any way, but when you are following the project traditions, it should be according to the rules and tradition of project. Violate the project rules and terms, then you will have to face several issues while testing. That means camel case, I think many of you know that. Suppose I am writing LET, camel case. That means first three characters will start with lowercase prefix, and later it will start with an uppercase letter. Then again it will continue with lowercase. This is what we call camel case. This is what we call. So what is the object type? What is the object type? And next word should define what is the purpose. What is the purpose? That means here my intention is txt is text or text box, and name is to store the name. Suppose it is submit button, then I can write like this. That means we write btn submit. That means it is a button for submit. So btn insert, that means it is a button for insert. That is how we need to define the names. You have to follow the traditions, because when you are dealing in TypeScript and later in future when you are using in Angular, then we can define rules also. We can define rules also. If developer is not following those rules, immediately it shows errors. Immediately it shows warnings in the code. Warnings in the code, not errors. These warnings in the code saying that you are not following the standards of coding. So that you are going to learn how to set those rules, how to change those rules, configure those rules. But these are the basic rules you need to follow. Variable name. Another important is TypeScript variable name cannot be more than 255 characters. So as per the standards, it should be maximum up to 255 characters. It cannot be more than 255 characters long. Variable name, when you are naming the variables, it cannot be more than 255 characters long. So the maximum length of a variable can be up to only 255 characters. These are all important coding standards. Later I will show you how to know the standards of coding, from where we can learn about the standards of coding. Then you will get more clarity in using any language, right? As of now, while declaring variables, you have to follow all these points. How variables are declared in TypeScript and what are the basic rules for declaring the variables. These are all about declaring and working with variable. Now still it is not finished. After understanding variable declaration, now we need to understand about data type. So what is data type? How we can define data types for variables in TypeScript, and what are the various data types that a TypeScript can handle. These are the things we need to understand while working with variables. So that we will see in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we will continue with a new concept, data types. Today you have learned completely about how we declare variables and work with variables. Declaration of variables, what are the basic rules and all the points about variables. Now, what is data type and how do we use these data types, that we will see in tomorrow's session. Gradually, one by one, topic by topic, once we start completing, then we can design examples. In the initial stage itself, don't expect several examples. because you are just started